welcome my man Sean O'Brien.
Hello, all of you faggy retards. Right? They're not going to stop me from saying faggy retards, right? I want to talk to everybody about tonight. Can I ask you guys a question? How many people have had a social interaction where they had like a misinterpretation? They misread a situation? It happens, right? Has anybody misinterpreted every situation for 30 consecutive years? Oh! Just this faggy retard? Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you about a couple things. I was at a company Christmas party when I just started working in the workforce, and I went to my first company Christmas party, and I thought I was playing a really flirty game of cat and mouse with this really sexy bartender. And I was in the wrong, but every time she came by, I was like, oh, hey, and she would like ignore. I didn't realize I was too drunk, and she was told not to serve me. And every time she came by, I was like, hey, what's up? And she'd come by again, I'd be like, oh, me again. And she'd like come by the other way. I was like, what the fuck? And all of a sudden, she like fucking got fed up, and she turned to me and she goes, bro, I'm not fucking serving you. And I was like, whoa. And all these coworkers, like, they pulled me back, and they were like trying to be like, whoa, let's get this guy. This is a fucking company. And like from my point of view, I was dead drunk. I was like, it was like that scene from Grease where like Travolta's friends are like tugging on his shirt, like, tell me more, tell me more. And I'm like, guys, I got this. And I went back up to the bar, and she had her back turned to me, and she's like, she was not paying attention to me. I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna reach over. She had like a little blonde ponytail. I'm gonna reach over, and I'm just gonna go, ting, ting, ting. She's gonna turn around and say like, oh, and smile, right? And I'm gonna be like, me again. And say like, this fucking hot ass guy. It's gonna be so fun. I'm like, what do you want? I'm gonna get in trouble. Right? She's like, what do you want? Like a drink? And I'm like, yeah, just take a drink. And so I proceeded to, but that was like short, cute Sean, and I was like more mice and men Lenny. So when I reached over to her and I accidentally pulled her to the ground, she slipped, and I was like, whoa, that was not expected. So the bar runs this way. And I was like, I immediately knew that I was like, oh fuck, this did not happen as I had planned. When she fell, she was like, I got my neck. I'm like, the bouncers now are making their way through the crowd towards me. The bar is right here. The exit is right where that exit is. And I was just like, oh, here's the second worst idea of my night. I'm gonna jump up on the bar, run down the bar, tiptoeing over people's glasses, eluding the band, jump off at the end, turn to my coworkers and say, so long! And one of my coworkers would be so fun. They'd be laughing, cheering, be like, what was that guy? So I was just like, oh, so the bouncer's coming, and I'm like, got it. But I put my leg up. You know how hard it is to put your leg up on a bar? I ended up just like sweet kicking off like 10 drinks into my coworkers' laps. And I'm like, no, second time. Like 20 drinks. 20 drinks. So it's like, oh fuck. Then the long arm of the law came and like grabbed me, and I was like, oh no. And no one knew what I was doing. No one knew like what was going on. I'm like, it just looked like I was just like, oh, what? I can't drink again? And then like, why kick off those drinks? And then I was like dragged out. You know, classic. That's what happens in every. I told that joke a couple nights ago, and I split my penis. And then I went to another place and did a whole nother set. And then I came home, I'm like, wow, I split my pants? I got some of those. So I heard that one. And another time, I went to a New Year's Eve party. And let me just preface this story by saying the night was New Year's Eve, and I spent it sleeping under a blanket in the backseat of a car. So obviously you guys feel bad for me. I know. But so I'm at this party. I'm in Rutgers. I don't know anybody at this party. I'm like asked from a buddy. And I go there, and like a group of people like talk to me for like 2 seconds, and I get dead drunk, and I'm like, 1 sec, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna assume nothing's gonna change. And I go to the bathroom, and while I am peeing, I hear like that rustle at the door, and I'm like, oh, 1 second, and you have to do that. So sorry. And then all of a sudden I heard like a second rustle at the door, and I'm like, oh fuck. So I do this, where I put my leg out and lock the door, right? And you should feel like a hard surface, the door, but instead I felt like a gelatinous-esque, like squishy thing. And I was like, oh shit, the call is coming from inside the house. I turned around and there was a woman in there, this big, fat woman. And she had been down, she had been like in the outskirts of like this like party and she was standing there like all sexy. And she was just like, I didn't know that, but she was just like, oh, as soon as he steps peeing, I'm gonna French the shit out of him. So I was standing there and I'm like, oh, you have to go too? I don't know how she got in there. She also like slinked in the door. I was like, whew. She became like, she turns this way, she's like a piece of paper. So all of a sudden I was like, oh fuck. So I turn around and I'm thinking this girl has to go to the bathroom. And I turn and I'm like, oh, you're next or whatever. And she slams me against the wall. Boom. She throws my hands up. This is going to get serious. She throws my hands up and hits me against the wall. Both hands. Right? And I'm like this. I'm like, oh, God, no. You can just go. You can just go. I'm not fighting for you. And all of a sudden she goes in for a kiss. And like I rip my hand away and I put it on her forehead like this. And she's still going in, and this all happens in a split second. And I thought back to like this quote, like Mike Tyson, he was my favorite poet. And everybody's got a game plan until you get punched in the face. So I was like, win, and I popped her. Trust me, I was just as surprised as everybody else. I was just as surprised. I'm like, whoa. Where did that come from, Sean? It didn't hurt her. She like kind of like she snarled back, right? Like she was gonna make a second charge. Then we were gonna fight. Initially she was gonna kiss me. Then the second time. But she rocked back and her knees hit the tub. And she like went crashing back and she like reached like that desperate reach. And I was like, yeah, right. Right? She ripped the shower and she fucking fell. She beat it. She hit her head. She was knocked out. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm like, close the door. I was like, oh shit, like, she's gonna be sleeping in there for a while. So I was like, I came out of the bathroom and I kind of gave myself a look over like that kind of like look where you look at your hands and wonder what kind of monster you are. And I'm like, I'm a terrible monster because I went back downstairs and rejoined that people. I'm like, hey, what did I miss? And they're like, nothing. Did you see Jamie? I'm like, haven't seen her. And then all of a sudden there was a guy, of course, word got around that there was a lunatic punching women. And they're like, all of a sudden I need to leave the party before some guy fucking ends me. So I'm like, fine, I'll go hide in my car. Fine. See, I'm glad you guys laughed because they told me, don't do jokes where you like punch and hit women. And I'm like, this is Asbury. Right? On the Asbury flag, there's a guy putting his hands on a woman. I'm like, you don't know this crowd. Not all my social cues. They don't all end in me physically hurting somebody. One other time, I was living in my uncle's house in the suburbs, and I woke up really early in the morning and I couldn't go back to sleep. So what does every delinquent do? and my uncle has 2 little kids. Go downstairs and smoke a joint on the side of his house, right before anyone gets up, because little kids get up early. So I was like, I'm just gonna like go downstairs, and I'm sitting there. I'm on the side of his house smoking a joint, and they live like in a nice suburban neighborhood, green grass, everything I'm just not used to. And I kind of got caught up in the moment, and I'm like, smelling the grass. I see people running by. It just looks all so good. I'm like, this is what life's about. And then you know what? I'm like, you know what? You like get in the morning. It's like a beautiful morning. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for a fucking run. Right? I'm gonna go for a run. So I was just like, fuck it. I'm gonna go for a run because you know what? When you're running, the best thing you can do is run in the morning because that's like the smuggiest time you can do it. Like you just, that is the best. So I'm like, I'm gonna run and I go, oh, there's a Dunkin' Donuts on the other side of town. I'm gonna run to the Dunkin' Donuts. Get Dunkin' Donuts from my little cousins, bring them back as proof, and then when they wake up, be like, oh, who got these Dunkin' Donuts? I'm like, oh, I did. I was out exercising this morning. And they're like, you want any? I'm like, no, they're for you little fat shit. I don't eat this shit. So I'm like, boom, hit the streets, right? Best part about it, running.